Clock time. It's
I
good
know,
for me.
not a bad time to start.
Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert with the Ted Show. We are back. We are Gratitude Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. I
Woo!
like to celebrate Tuesday with being grateful for lots of things. So if you haven't told somebody lately you're grateful for them, make sure you do it. And I'm grateful for this beautiful creature right here, Kendra Davies with Stellar Life Coaching. What's up, Kendra?
Hello, hello, everybody.
And we can hear you, we can see you. We're in good shape today.
I'm like a technology queen, really.
You are. Me too, apparently. So I'm super excited about this topic. Um, the magic of trying new things. I think
Mm.
all of us are sort of in that mode. We've talked a little bit about this before, but before we take a deep dive, which we usually do, tell them a little bit about you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kendra Davies, and I am a life coach and a positive psychology practitioner. I own Stellar Life Coaching here in Orlando, Florida. And my mission and purpose is to help people uh, identify, define, and cultivate their own happiness and live their best possible lives. And Ted Bogert and I connected on one destined day. And
We
we've
did.
been
Somebody, it's been amazing, but somebody asked me how we met and I drew a blank.
I just hit you up and I was like, can I be on your
Oh,
show? And you're like, yeah, here's the link. And
oh
then
yeah. Were you in link mode at that time?
mhm, I didn't have the connections then that I have now.
I love it. And now it's all text message. And then I just send you the stuff and I don't even send you the whole rigmarole that goes with it.
Mm-mm.
Yes, that was amazing. That's right. We did meet that way. Somebody asked me today and I was like, God dang it. I can't remember. I just remember it was an immediate connection and perfect. And so you have been gracious enough to um, acquiesce or allow me to go through this experiment of talk it out.
Yeah,
So it's been awesome. It's been awesome.
man. It really
All
is.
right.
Every
So, I love positivity coach. I've been telling people that's what you do lately because positive psychology coach, positivity coach. What's your preference?
positive psychology practitioner is the name.
Practitioner, triple
Mhm.
P. Okay, I like it. Mm.
Yes.
All right. So, people who watch the show know that the whole reason this works is because I text Kendra and say, "What topic are we talking about this week?"
Mhm.
And so this week we are talking about the magic of trying new things. Where did that come from?
So, fun story. My son and I actually did an indoor snowboarding lesson over the weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, so Winter Park, oh my gosh, I think it's Winter Club Ski. It's right on
Yes.
Aruba in
Yes.
Winter Park. Like you've driven past it a bajillion times, and you're like, "What? We live in Florida." But this place was wonderful, and we did an indoor snowboarding lesson, and I had this really awesome experience, like watching my 8-year-old try a new thing, and then me trying a new thing, right, as a 38-year-old. It was a smidge different.
I
And
was
I,
going to say, were you just as excited as you were watching your son as doing it yourself?
yes. So yes, but I also, because he was a child, the instructor was extra focused on him. So I fell a lot. And it's an indoor snowboarding lesson. So it's on a slope. It's
Oh,
an incline, yeah. And
ow.
I'm on a real snowboard. So the slope moves. You don't move. The slope moves, so you can practice the things, yeah. And so we do the lesson, and like if my board is straight, I do good. I'm like, oh shit, look at me, you know. And if you know me, you know I love to dance, but I actually have a terrible center balance. Like I'm just
Can't stand up straight.
no, like if I spin fast, I can get lost, right? Spotting is not my strong suit. In any case, so if I go straight, I'm good. You know, he's like push off from the bar, and I do it. But when he tells me to flip my board long ways, there's a technique to it that he was telling me over and over and over again. He said you have to lean back, like You have to trust your body. You have to lean back. And Kendra Davies said, no.
Hell no, I don't lean back.
I'm not leaning back. I'm not going to let go of this bar. He's like, you have to keep the front of the board up or you're going to keep falling. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. And then I ate shit like 7 times. And because he was focused on my son, like I would fall and the slope would keep going.
Oh, nice. Oh, you were really getting beat up.
So my poor knees. I'm such an old lady. This thing happened. Like, I call it the vanity barrier. You know, like we all have a vanity barrier when we try a new thing. We don't want to look stupid. We don't want to do a lot of things, right? Like we want to do a thing and be excellent at it right when it happens. And something interesting was that when I was doing the front half of the lesson and I was doing good, Jackson was struggling, right? And then when we flipped at the end of the lesson, I was struggling and Jackson was doing good.
Interesting.
Right? So watching him not give up was interesting. And then when he fell, like he didn't have a vanity barrier, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
when I
totally.
Down, the first thing I did was look around, like, oh shit, who saw it? Because I mean, I fell, like, right?
Yes.
Like, breaking through the vanity barrier, breaking through that thing that says I don't want to look stupid. It was just magical. Like I'm reminded of like, how do we start our businesses? How do we write our books? Like, how do we decide that we are going to be this kind of a person or this kind of a human being and decide to show up in the world with courage, right? It's the same premise. We have to break that vanity barrier. We have to be willing to fall a lot.
A lot. Why are people so afraid of falling? I feel like we have conditioned ourselves and even the younger generation, like failure and falling are just not things that they want to embrace.
Yeah.
I feel like they're things to celebrate once you get out of the mud in it. But I feel like people just are so afraid and it keeps them down. It keeps them from doing things. Sure. It keeps them from moving to the next level in their career or their relationship. Yeah. Or, you know, there's not a lot of physical activity I want to try. But I'm sure I can think of something that I want to do that is along those lines. And I'm the same. Like, I don't want to look like an idiot in front of people. It's really a bad hang up that we have.
Yeah. Well, and I think that we're conditioned, we're taught. You go to school to be or learn a trade and you get great at it and then you get paid to do it and you just do this thing that you're good at forever. Right? But learning a new thing, something that you don't know, like snowboarding, right? Like it's completely like I'm all emotions and words, Ted. That's what I do really, really well. Like, I know those, I understand them. But when you're like, hey, go get on a snowboard and be on a slope, my body's like, oh.
They're like, who are you and who's invaded your body?
Yes. But this is the thing. Like, we're conditioned to figure out what we're good at and then go do it.
Yes.
And then get paid to do it and master it. Yeah. What I was reminded of is this idea of like having a beginner's mind. Like, if you go back to when you first started this thing that you mastered, how willing were you to try something? You know, how many times did you look at the people who had been doing it before you and say, oh, we could do it better. We could do it different. We could try it this way. This would work faster and be more efficient if we did it that way. How many times do you actually stop and challenge yourself to find a new way to go home from work when we went to work, if you go to work, right? Like,
all good points.
Like, how often do you challenge yourself to try new things that you've never ever done before?
I think you're right. We're just conditioned not to do that. But if there's something that I enjoy, like let's say food, I'm a little more adventurous, but I still don't, I don't want to be in that, the movie where people are trying to eat escargot and the shell goes across the table. Like, but you get embarrassed and you think, well, everybody's going to look at me and think that you don't have to be perfect. You can't be because you're beginning.
Exactly.
And I think that's what people like. The example I use with people all the time is video. People are so afraid to be on this video thing. And I'm like, look, if I can get on a video and talk, you can get on a video and talk. But they're so afraid of how it's going to come across. They're not going to enunciate every word in the proper Queen's English. And then they're afraid they're going to look like so stupid. I'm like, well, look at my first video. I look like an idiot. A complete idiot. My hair, I don't even know what I was thinking. The whole angle is bad. I'm not looking at the camera. I'm not even really looking at the guest. I don't even know what I was looking at. But I had to learn. I had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But I was fearful. I was like, God dog it, this is going to be rough. And boy, was it. But that's okay. I learned.
But I feel like that's exactly what I'm getting at. Like, I did it with snowboarding, right? But I think it applies and it translates to everything. When we, last week we're talking about just go for it. And it's like, you could also just go for trying a new thing to help break your mind out of the cement, right? We're cemented in, this is my lane. This is what I'm good at. This is what I get paid to do. This is what I focus everything on, that we lose our beginner's mind.
Yes.
We lose it, right? And trying new things, this magic of trying new things says, oh, wait, I can have a beginner's mind. I could be curious. I can get comfortable falling. By like the 7th or 8th time that I was falling, I was like, let me just be impressive with how fast I get up.
Right, you shifted. You pivoted. You're like, I'm going to make the best of this. I'm going to look good getting up.
Watch me hop up. I'm going to hop up. I'm going to be able to get up without help. That was my goal.
That's a big deal, though. You made progress, right?
Exactly. And this is the thing, like the experience of not being able to do something well, which, let's be real, how often do you do things that you don't do well? Like, that's defeats the purpose, right?
Correct. Yes.
But doing something that I wasn't good at or that I didn't know allowed me to be in this space. Like, how can I'm on this slope. The thing is moving. I have to figure it out. And at the end, what I learned, like the real magic was that I learned that I did not trust my body. And I know that this is like me digging really deep into the experience, but I think that if we pay attention when we try new things, we can learn so much about ourselves. And for me, like, I recognize, as much as I've done work around connecting to the body and like being in my body, he would just keep telling me, if you don't lean back, you're going to go forward. Like, the slope is going back. You need to lean back. Fall on your butt. And I was like, no. I'm gonna hold on to this pole. And every time my legs went all the way out from underneath me and I went down.
Because it's not like he's the instructor or knows better. You know best, right?
Right.
I'm going to show you.
No, it wasn't even like that. It was just fear. It was just, I learned that what I needed to do, my body and my brain said no. Like, there was a resistance.
Yes.
And, we've talked about this before. Like, those points of resistance are where your lessons are. Whatever you resist persists. And when it comes to trusting, right? Like, trust is a hard thing for me. So I learned so much about myself. And I was snowboarding. Like, it wasn't even like a deep philosophical workshop where I was doing personal work on myself. But it was just that magic of doing something new, of being in that beginner's mind and recognizing my thoughts as I was doing it and seeing my son not have the same experience. Like, he's not jaded by the world.
Correct.
He doesn't think everything's impossible, right? Like,
he hasn't been conditioned to think that way yet.
Yeah.
The world does put that on us. It does like us to stay in our lane. It does like us to just kind of go along like the sheeple. And so it doesn't really, the world isn't a big proponent sometimes, it feels like, of us trying new things. The other thing I want to ask you, so you went, you try a new thing, and then have you had enough, or do you keep going? Because I think a lot of people try something new. Oh, I'm going to use food because that's my thing. I'll try Thai food. Ooh, I don't like that. Well, you ordered the inside organs of an octopus. Of course you don't like that. But people don't know how to try a new thing and kind of keep trying it. It doesn't mean your first go round, if you don't succeed, that you can't eventually become better at it. And I think people are just so afraid to take that chance. If it didn't work, it didn't work. No,
Yeah,
Kendra, I can never do snowboarding because I fell the first time I went and I just don't want to do it again.
sure. So, and again, I believe that it really comes down to being relentless in the pursuit of the thing, right? So, uh, I am not an outdoorsy gal, right?
I
Like,
would have guessed you were. I
oh,
almost said that because I saw you at what are those things where it's really cold water and you go out? It's like yeah, like the springs. Again, this is outside my normal vocabulary. But yeah, I saw you outside. You've done outside stuff. I would have
yeah,
guessed
yeah.
you
So
as,
like I reserve my outdoor activities for like either my family time or like when I go on retreat and we jump off of cliffs and like we do awesome adventure things. But like inside, I want to do outdoorsy things. I need people who will coach me through,
yeah.
to be fair, because I don't know how to do it. So, in any case, the answer to your question is that we have to be relentless in the pursuit. So I get a lot of pushback. Like when I start working with clients, I usually focus on developing positive habits, right? And one of those first things that I suggest is meditation. And if you don't meditate, if you've never meditated, or if you've tried to meditate and it was an awful experience because being alone inside your own head is painful,
For
right?
a lot of people, that's
For a
something.
lot of people, for most of us, the first time we try meditation, it's terrible, right? Like we're not doing it right, which is nonsense, but that's what we feel. Like obviously I didn't do that right. I fell asleep or I couldn't stop thinking about like laundry and what's for dinner and what I got to go to the grocery store and whatever.
Right.
But here's the thing. It's a matter of being relentless in the pursuit. Like if the goal is to calm your mind or find a way to center yourself. When I say meditation, there's chanting, there's guided meditation, there's breathwork meditation, there's loving kindness meditations. There's so many different kinds of meditations. What I really mean is try them all until you find one that works for you. And here's the thing. The reason why it's magic is that if you don't give up, you will actually be able to do it. Eventually, because your willingness to commit to doing it, you're going to find something that works.
There's something that's such a good, I get that a lot because I tell people that I do some meditation and they're like, well, I listened to one person and that somebody recommended it's over.
Yeah.
And I say to them, well, the first one I got recommended was this British dude that was doing the guided, and all I could think about was British. I thought of fish and chips.
Yeah.
I would think like I couldn't get out of it. So I thought, all right, I'm going to try somebody who doesn't have a British accent. And I had to go through and kind of find that voice that speaks to me. And I think that's what you're saying is you've got to continue to try. Yeah. One attempt is not, in my opinion, trying. It's one little try, but if you really want to get better at it and you really want to try new things, you have to continue to experiment.
You know, I had a client once, we were talking about finding a physical activity, right? She wanted to lose weight. And so I was like, well, what physical activities do you enjoy? And she's like, I mean,
okay, she's my sister. Keep talking.
So I was like, make a list of like all of the physical activities that you've never done that you're just curious about. Not that you will enjoy or that will be awesome, but like you're just curious. And one of them was the freaking trapeze, like in the circus.
Interesting.
What?
And did she do it?
Yes.
Oh, good for her. Good. Not
only did she do it, she still does it.
No
like,
way.
It's insane to me how these things work. Like sometimes we just need somebody to say, what are you curious about? Like what, if you could just try anything.
That's good.
Forget the vanity barrier, forget all of the voices, cut them all out. Like if you could just be curious about one thing, what would it be? She had pole dancing on that list. She had the trapeze on that list. She had twerking on the list. Like she was, she was a curious, all of these had a certain vein. They were all in the same.
But I love the curiosity part. I love that angle that you just described, or that
Mhm.
approach. I think that curiosity is a better, like, there are things I'm curious about. I would love to, I'm curious about improv. I'll just use me as an example,
Yeah.
right? So I have friends that do it. I'm going to do a show where we're going to have people on and we're going to do live improv. I'm
Nice.
fascinated by that. It's not in my wheelhouse, but it's something I would want to do. It's about as
Yeah.
close to physical activity. But there are other things that I would try. So if you frame it that way, Kendra, I love that, because that gives it, all right, yeah, I'm curious about that. I'd like to try that. That's really
Mhm.
good. Really good.
And listen, like, do it again and again. You know, they say you have to do something 21 times for it to become a habit, right? Or for 21 days. To me, I feel like the choice, the choice is in your power, right? Like, we learn new things by doing, not just reading. Like, when we read it, we intellectualize it, we conceptualize it. When
Yes.
we do it, when we practice, it actually forms our behaviors. Our behaviors affect our thoughts and affect our feelings. When we participate in positive behaviors, we create positive emotion. We create positive thoughts, which create positive experiences, which affect everything in our lives.
Agreed.
So if we can be curious, right? If we can just say, listen, I'm not an outdoorsy gal. I have a list in my phone of outdoor things that I want to do. I want to go to Devil's Den, right? And like,
What's that?
it's the spring. I think it's in Gainesville,
Oops.
but it's magical, Ted. Like, it looks so beautiful. I'm terrified of it, right? Totally terrified. But I really want to go. I really want to go to Devil's Den. But you have to like snorkel. And
Ah.
so, like, I've been snorkeling a long time
Oh yeah,
ago.
snorkeling's the one you don't have to be certified for. That's
Correct.
like surfacey. Okay, I've done that.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
So I have a list in my phone of things that I want to do that are actually outdoorsy. And as I go through the list, I am doing some of those things, but like, my commitment is to say yes. You know, I had a girlfriend ask me if I wanted to go stand up paddleboarding. Also, no center of gravity. You know what I'm saying? Like, my balance is,
That I heard is so hard.
it was so good though.
Was it?
It was so good. But, and this is what I'm saying. We make up the stories about how difficult, how challenging, how hard,
That's true.
this. And I was like, I'm going to fall off and I'm not going to be able to get back on. And like, I made up all of these stories. None of it was true. Like, it wasn't like it was like easy. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I'm really not an outdoorsy gal. So there's a learning curve. You know what I mean? So many
Yeah, I
times.
would have come up with 1,000 excuses not to do that.
In all fairness, I rescheduled like 4 times.
But I think that's okay, because you're still pushing through, and that's what I want people
Yeah.
to understand from this.
Mhm.
Look, you rescheduled 4 times. You still knew that you wanted to try it, and at
Yeah.
some point, somewhere, something was going to go off, and you were going to go, "All right, I'm going to do it."
Mm-hmm.
And I love that, because I think more people, and we're talking about sports and food right now, or outdoorsy activities. It can be anything. It can be your job, your relationships, your
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Trying something new is such a great way to kind of feel your way through and change up your regular routine and your regular lane that you're in.
And if you can do it and be mindful, you know, like for me, like, it was indoor snowboarding, but the lessons I actually took away were like, I still have to work on trust. Like,
Yes.
and it's trust in it, like trusting other people, but also trusting myself. Like, when he said, you have to lean back, you have to trust your body, like, you're going to be able to do it. And I was like, no. Like, my internal, my
That's
internal
awesome.
center was like, I learned something really, really powerful about myself that has nothing to do with snowboarding. I'm totally going to go
Yes.
back. They do snowboarding and skiing. I'm going to try skiing and see how I like that. But like, put money, Ted
Listen.
Bogert, today, whatever, October 13th of 2020, Kendra Davies is committed to going on a ski trip. It's going to happen.
You've
I might,
never been skiing?
no, I might be
You
on bunny slopes.
Oh no,
Bomb.
I went down the bunny slope, fell, and I waited for them to come rescue me so I could go to the lounge. So don't use me as an example of how this all works out, because I can preach it, but boy, I got to practice it better sometimes.
Mm.
All right. So how can we reach you? You know, people they ask me about you all the time. So
Mm.
what's the best way for them to reach out to you, get involved, learn more about the triple P's, positive psychology, something?
Yes. So you can find me on just about every single post in this video. I'm tagged personally, and Stellar
You
Life
are.
Coaching is also tagged. You can contact me on Facebook. Feel free to message me. You can also go to my website, stellarlifecoaching.com. My phone number is on there. You can text or call that number. And yeah, you get a free 30-minute consultation. So no commitment.
Look,
Yeah.
that might be for some people trying a new thing. So if you have been thinking about somebody to help you with coaching, that's a question I got about you today, and I'll share that with you later.
Okay.
Uh, I think this is another try a new thing, because there are people who, because of their perception of the narrative in their head, they're like, "What's a coach going to do for me?" And
Yeah.
if you haven't experienced what a coach can do from you from these weekly sessions with Kendra, then you definitely aren't understanding what's going on in the world with coaching. So reach out to her. Maybe this is the new thing you try. It's always a joy to have you on. I look forward to it every week, and so does everyone else, because they tell me. So Kendra Davies, thank you so much for being on the show, as
Bye,
always.
everybody. Have a great
All right,
week.
guys, we'll see you soon. I'll be back at 4 o'clock.